Hey, in today's video, I wanted to talk about two popular tools for product managers, Aha and ProductBoard. I will talk about the first impressions and main value that they want to deliver. I will talk also about their features, their integrations, their pricing, summarize it, and I will also give you a recommendation of which one I think that should fit your workflow. So first of all, let's start with ProductBoard. I have been using ProductBoard recently, started last year. This is a tool that they market themselves as a product manager's tool built by product managers. So it should be a really good tool. At least that's what I would expect. But let's take a quick look about how they position themselves and what would be the first impressions of what this product is. So very quickly, one of the things that kind of stands out to me is the very clean design that the tool has, and that's something that I really appreciate, I really like. But as you can see, they talk about up-level product teams, so you want to make sure that what you're doing is that you're delivering customer value faster by standardizing modern practices and focusing on highest priority work. You also want to make sure that you're building cross-functional workflows, that you're bridging silos, that you are not keeping all the information in one place and not sharing with others. And you also want to make sure that you want to co-create with customers. So you want to be user-centric. So very valuable propositions from that first impression. And I really like that first impression that the product gives you. Now let's go to Aha. Aha has been out for a while. I was working quite heavily with it back in 2016, if I remember correctly. I was also working a little bit in 2020s with it as well. As a tool, as I recall, it is a very expert tool. It has a lot of functionality and is very powerful, and it can serve a lot of your needs. But let's take a look at how it looks nowadays and see if something has changed from the times that I was actually using it. So first of all, about how they talk about themselves is like they position themselves more as a product development tool than a product management tool. But all the functionality is very tailored for product managers. So they are talking about crafting interactive product roadmaps. They are also talking about having all your strategy or your product strategy into one place. That's something that is then your items, your features, your strategic intents. You can take them into account and you can use them when you are prioritizing your work. This is very important. And then taking a quick look into more like how the product looks like, I had the feeling a little bit like it feels more noisy than what ProductBoard does. This is the first impressions. Obviously, you had to also look into other things like what features and what value actually brings to your workflows. But now let's jump into the features and let's see which one of these products actually fits your workflows best. So let's start with the features now. So first of all, both of them have features to actually develop roadmaps. And let's take a quick look into those ones side by side so we can see a little bit which ones could fit better your needs. So first of all, we have ProductBoard. And in ProductBoard, it is quite nice that you can see that they have already integrations obviously available for teams that are developing, for example, in Jira or Jira, never know how to pronounce that one. So you kind of have the understanding of how the data is flowing. So when tasks are ready and when tasks are not ready, are they reported there to understand better what is the current situation in the backlog. On top of this, they had the possibility of tracking your work, which is great. Then you can understand that, hey, I have planned different features or I have planned different initiatives, whatever you call them in your company, or opportunities. You know, we all use many different terms usually to refer to the same thing. And I know some people will hate me just for saying that, but in the end, basically you are just planning opportunity, feature, initiative, whatnot, that is something that is going to bring value to your customers. That's what we want to do as a product manager. And it's very important that you understand the progress of that work. How do we see that this is progressing? How far are we from completing the work, at least the work that we are estimating to do for this first version that we want to release? And now let's go into Aha. There's one thing that I want to point to in Aha and how they work. The things that for ProductBoard, there is like one product that is ProductBoard, but for Aha, they're like a set of or a suite of products. Some of them are more focused on the execution side. Some of them are more focused on the discovery and the opportunity side. And these are two different products, meaning the pricing is going to be different. Having said that, when it comes to roadmaps, Aha has also a quite nice solution for your roadmap. Basically, you can have different types of views on how you're going to see your roadmap. How do you see that you're going to be implementing different features? You can also have an alignment of what your portfolio of products can be. So in a way, it is a little bit more of a strategic tool potentially than what product board is. And talking about the strategy, you can also visualize your strategy. In what areas, in what moments do you think that some areas are going to be more strategic than others? Another thing that Aha can do is that it can link your roadmap to your strategy, given that it has features to build a strategy and actually align those two with the roadmap. And then once you have the roadmap, the high-level roadmap, you can also break it down by features. And then in the features, have more the details of what are the tasks within the features, what is going to be the main benefits, what are going to be the main goals for these tasks, and track, for example, their implementation. So then you can go much more into the very detailed workflows that you will need to implement to have your product actually executed. Next, let's talk about prioritization. Both tools have features that are going to help you prioritize your work, which is great, something very important and very key part of your work as a product manager. Let's start with ProductBoard. And within ProductBoard, they have a way to capture ideas and opportunities and being able to analyze them and actually being able to prioritize these opportunities. And also you have different ways of prioritizing, like here is showing this user impact score, which is calculated by different criteria. Let's not go into details, but there are different ways of prioritizing what your customers are going to need. And from the point of view, what are going to be the things that could be more important to actually get that feedback and that understanding that do I need to do this or not. And the most important thing of this is that you can do this prioritization together with your customers. You can get that feedback from them to build it in your prioritization process. Now let's jump into Aha. And here is where Aha potentially gets a little bit more confusing than what ProductBoard is, because for prioritization, for managing ideas and opportunities, actually is using a different product, a different module that work together, but is not in part of the same package. So for this, Aha has what they call Aha ideas, then they have our Aha roadmaps, and within Aha ideas, you can then do the idea management side. So here you can see things like what are the ideas that people like the most, which ones are the most important opportunities that your community is actually bringing up. And this is something that, again, you can get your community to vote in your ideas, to actually provide their own ideas. This, again, very important, really interesting, because this is going to help you then get and validate those assumptions and those potential directions that you want to take your product in the future, and make sure that they are validated with your customer base. This is, of course, typically is going to validate with your existing customer base. If you want to validate with a new customer base, not the same thing. It's same, and the same obviously applies to the ProductBoard validation or ideas opportunities portal. A nice thing that Aha has is that it has plenty of dashboards that can show you also the different status of where are different ideas. Have they been already implemented? Have they been shipped? Are they being considered? And then when it comes to prioritization, Aha also provides different ways of actually doing the review process of different ideas. So here we can see how they are implementing something like the value versus effort or impact, as they call it here, versus effort matrix within Aha, which is, again, very important, in my opinion, to have access to these different frameworks within the tools. Something else that I think is very important is that they provide also ways to score your ideas, very similar to the framework a little bit that ProductBoard has, that it will allow you to evaluate or vote an idea against different criteria. And you can even create a framework that you can vote about how much this is going to help. For example, this idea is going to help marketing, or how is this going to be to market? How is this going to be to sell it? This is very important because it's also going to show you how well, or what is the perception of other teams, how is this going to help them actually get this new feature or this new value that you're building to your customers. So now let's talk about some of the features that might be slightly different between these two products, because the ones that we have been talking about till now, both of them seem to have them. And seem to have relatively similar approach and not very big differences, at least not in that level of those features. So coming back to the portal towards your community, towards your users, I think that Product Board goes a step further and actually has a way to create a portal that is visible then for the customers and share that information with them. Okay, share what ideas you are constructing, which ones are planned, what is being launched, and then share this both internally and to the customers to collect feedback on what you're building and those potential new requests. So there are different things where people can comment, which is not completely different from what Aha was having. But then there's one thing that Product Board offers that I haven't seen in Aha is that they allow you to actually then do the review process together with your customers, where you can actually have like in a way a call and a communication with them where you can share your screen and get the feedback with annotations from the customers that they can actually tell you about which direction this feature is going. Do they like it? Do they don't like it? Would they like to improve it in certain ways? And now I would like to talk about a couple of features that are in Aha that I haven't seen in Product Board. And maybe this shows that Aha is a product that has been out there of a longer time than Product Board. And actually, I don't have any data to back that claim. So first of all is that Aha is allowing you to build a strategy for your product. And I think that this is very important. Having your product strategy visible within your product roadmapping tool is key. And it will allow you to just set up different strategies, and those strategies actually you can actually show even what progress you have in those strategies. So our strategies are not just as intense, but are also linked to execution, which is very important. So you can have things here like, well, explain the why, show what are going to be your strategies, capture your business model, and then use different templates like lean canvas, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and so on. So SWOT analysis and so on that you can use within Aha, which is again great to see those frameworks implemented there. It's going to also help you describe your positioning. I listened to a book about positioning. I cannot recall the name now for whatever reason. Obviously Awesome, I think it was the name. Really good book if you haven't read it. Very many misconceptions about what product positioning is. The fact that you are working in your positioning and that you have it available here within Aha, really important. And of course, then you have things like tracking your competition, setting your goals, whatnot. These are going to help you a lot to make sure that you are able to then not just have strategic intents, but also the actual execution to back them, and actually then being able to track them and see if have we been successfully implementing these strategies or not. So something that both tools support are like the different visualizations of different ways of seeing your plans. So you can see them in boards, you can see them in a timeline, all of them very important and key. So both are supported fine by Aha and Product Board. That's something very important. Something that I like from Aha that they also support is that they also allow you to do user story mapping within Aha. And I think that that's a very important framework to actually take that user-centric perspective. I think that this is very key and it's going to help you to understand better what is the expectation and what are the needs and how you should build those products that actually serve your users and really deliver value for them. And earlier we saw that Product Board has a nice dashboard to show the progress of your work. I think that Aha again maybe goes a little bit further on how to show the dashboards, how to show different reports on how the progress of your work is going on. I think that this is again very important. They have a ton of templates that then you can use to create reports, which is really valuable then if you want to be able to analyze as much as possible, especially if you are in a product operations team, for example. You might want to be able to track all these things within the organization that you are running. They're very, very important if you are in operations side. Next, I want to talk about the integrations. I wanted to talk about integrations separate from features, although you could call them features, but I think it's a very different topic, and it's very important that you see if a new product actually integrates well with the ecosystem of tools that you're using as a company, as a team. So when it comes to ProductBoard, they have a ton of integrations with probably all the usual suspects that you could imagine. So Slack, Microsoft Teams, Salesforce, Zendesk, Intercom, Zapier, email, Chrome extension. What else here? There are Amplitude, Miro, Mixpanel, Mural, Loom, Figma, obviously, and so on. So there are quite many integrations, and then it goes into more like, okay, what are the delivery integrations? So for example, Jira, very important, Azure DevOps, GitHub, especially in many SaaS companies, Trello, so on. And obviously having those integrations is going to be key because it helps you to allow to integrate workflow. So for example, if you have designs in Figma, which is where your product designers are going to work, you can pull them in from Figma directly into ProductBoard. And the same goes to the tasks that your engineers are implementing. Most likely they're implementing in somewhere or tracking their tasks in something like GitHub or Jira. You have that integration that is going to give you that visibility on which status those tasks are. And obviously this applies the same for Aha. When it comes to Aha and their integrations, there are again a ton of integrations, and it might take me forever to go through all of them, but again, you can see all the usual suspects here, like Azure DevOps, GitHub roadmaps, GitLab for roadmaps, as well as GitHub for roadmaps, Jira. What else? For communication, they have things like Slack, Microsoft Teams, Google Chat, Slack. Then they have things like for customer relationship, Zendesk, Salesforce. For task tracking, Trello, Asana, something that was not present or I didn't notice in ProductBoard. Confluence as well, Google Analytics, Zapier, calendar integrations, file storage integrations. I'm not going to go through all of them because there's a lot of them. The single sign-on integrations, this is also interesting to see here. But again, you have a ton of integrations that are provided. They're not exactly the same normally. And but I think that both of them have probably the ones that are going to be the most typical ones. One thing that I didn't notice, maybe a listing in Aha, is that I haven't seen anything like Miro or Figma that for me are probably, I don't know why I have three fingers, I meant to, but for me are probably one of the most key tools that you're using, especially for brainstorming or having workshops with Miro, and then for product design with Figma. Figma is the product design tool nowadays. So the fact that it's not there, kind of not great. Maybe something that they have planned, I don't know. So finally, let's go to pricing. And let's start with the pricing that is provided by ProductBoard. And let's start with the obvious. Neither of those tools are really cheap. But having said that, within ProductBoard, what you have is usually the plans for both of these tools, and for most of the product management tools, is that you pay for the contributors, but you don't pay for everybody that it's actually just viewing the product, which is a good thing, fair enough, because usually, I mean, you're going to have people in product management using the tool, but you want that roadmap, that work is visible to the rest, and it wouldn't be fair maybe necessarily that people in customer success or people in sales will have to pay for those licenses. They're just there for viewing the data. They're really not going to input data there, not typically at least. So as it says here, in ProductBoard you have three tiers. That you have the essentials, which is for individuals. So just imagine an individual or some very small team, and this is for 20 per maker per month. Then there is the pro level, which is for small teams. There is a big bump already to $80 per maker per month. And finally, they have their enterprise deal. But if you think about what is the difference between all the different tiers, is that with the second tier, with the pro tier, you're going to have things on top of what the essentials is giving you, like customer feedback repository, Chrome extension for capturing ideas and feedback, the product portal to integrate with your customers, advanced prioritization criteria, scores, and formulas, which is important definitely if you want to set up your own methods instead of the ones that they are provided out of the box, custom fields that you can then create to add extra additional data to support the prioritization and so on, and then public APIs. And in the case of the enterprise, they don't only have the typical features, which is things like premium customer support, bespoke onboarding, dedicated customer success managers, which are quite common, and also things like single sign-on, automated user provisioning, audit logs, and stuff like that. Those are typically things that come with an enterprise deal, but they also offer more than what is available with the basic or more basic tier. So they offer you better collaboration at a scale, better ways of identifying opportunities, as you can see here with different integrations and so on. So integrations, as you can see, are dependent on the tier where you are. And here you can also optimize the product processes by seeing how much the product is used, but also how well you are allocating resources for different products. And again, with the collaboration at scale, you can see again that there are also integrations that are available within this tier that they don't seem to be available then with the other tiers, or maybe they are helping you setting them up. And now let's go quickly to take a look to how the pricing is in Aha. Aha is a little bit more complicated, as I was saying, because they have several products, and the ones I was concentrating on is Aha roadmaps and Aha ideas. Those two are priced at a starting point of 59 users per month and 39 users per month. When you then go to the details of each one of them, you can see again that there's the premium one, the enterprise, and the enterprise plus. Again, in general, what is the difference is that in the enterprise plus, you are going to have things like unlimited free viewers, unlimited free reviewers, only pay for workspace owners and contributors, and Aha developed integration. In the enterprise plus, if you are a very big company, you have things like a product concierge, which is receive custom onboarding, personalized account services, and so on. And then you have team capacity planning, custom tables, automation rules, custom worksheets. So more and more advanced features that are going to help you, especially if you are a big organization. But as you can see, pricing starts to get quite big. Again, it's talking about writers or people that are contributors. So they're not going to talking about the free reviewers. As you can see, this is not included there. You're talking about the people that are actually contributing to the roadmaps. This is again only for the Aha roadmaps. On top of that, if you want to use the ideas or the Aha ideas, then you have a different pricing. And here again, you have an essentials and an advanced. And here you have more like further integrations, dynamic feedback forms, proxy voting, empathy sessions, much more features that are not included in the basic. Again, if you are combining the two of them, you are already talking about over 200 euros per user, which, sorry, $200 per user. And again, this is, again, quite pricey and quite steep, the price that it gets. And I would not say that necessarily that ProductBoard is very cheap. There are obviously cheaper alternatives out there. And now we are coming more like to the summary and to my thoughts. I think that a ProductBoard, I like the tool. I think that it's really good. Again, I think I have a little bit of a, I think with both of them is that for being product management tools, for us as product managers, always talking about being user-centric and making things as easy as possible, I don't think that neither of them are really easy to use. I think that both of them have a relatively steep learning curve, which is no good, but it's a reality, and a reality of many of these very, let's say, expert products. Not a reality that I necessarily think or agree with, that expert products have to be complex, but is the reality of what happens when you start to pack too many things into one product. Very easily, they are not simple to use anymore. In any case, in both of them, I think that you are going to need people to manage them. It's not something that anybody can just go in and start working with. And you're going to have to set up your processes, your ways of working, and so on. I think that then in that way, those tools are going to help you. I would say that Aha has more features than ProductBoard has, and it reflects on the pricing that we can see. The problem that I see with Aha is that if ProductBoard, I don't see it being very easy or ready to use. I think that Aha is even more complex to use, although it's more powerful potentially for you to use as an organization. So I think that in any case, for both of you are going to need somebody to set it up. I think that the setting up in Aha is going to be a bigger effort than it's going to be in ProductBoard. Though on the other hand, I think that what the benefit of both tools is that they are both going to help you establish common ways of working. And I think that I would say, and this is my perception, I would think that ProductBoard is more focused towards medium-sized companies maybe in the range of hundreds of people working on it, whereas see maybe Aha being in a more large organization, so companies having maybe on the thousands of employees, maybe 1,000 and more. Because I think that Aha does a good work at streamlining that whole process and operation and making sure they aligns with the strategy and so on. But I don't know that you need that kind of level when you are in a smaller organization. Yes, I'm not going to doubt and I'm going to say that you don't need things like a strategy. You obviously need that. Really important. I haven't said that. But the problem is that, of course, the price is very high. And then the work to maintain that process and to set it up is not that trivial. Unless you have dedicated operation teams within your company that can tackle this, it's going to be difficult to set up a proper process that people actually can use and benefit from that tool. This is very important. And this is something that you had to understand before you purchase one of these tools. So in all honesty, if you are in a small organization, I would not recommend it of either of them. If you are in a medium-sized organization, I think that probably the best fit would be ProductBoard, although I think that both would do a good work. If you're in a large organization, it depends a lot on how you are organized. If you are organized in self-contained teams, it might be that ProductBoard is a better tool. But if you are wanting to really scale up and go across teams and go across portfolios, I think that in that case, Aha might be a better option. At least that's my thought. And of course, pricing, both of them are relatively expensive. Aha clearly gets more expensive with all the features that it provides, but you don't need to take all the features. So in a way, if you stay in the lower tiers, then you end up with a very similar product offering than you have within ProductBoard. So that was my recommendation. Which products are you using? And maybe which products would you like me to review in the future, just independently, or face them against each other a little bit like I have done here, ProductBoard versus Aha? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to see a more dedicated walkthrough or review of the product where I go into actually how to use it hands-on, again, just give me a suggestion in the comments below. I will take a look into those ones and I will always go and answer and see which ones could make sense, which ones could be a good fit for the channel in the future. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps massively with the YouTube algorithm. I will see you in the next one. And remember, stay safe.